Let's start
the Topical Pursuit Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Topical Pursuit Podcast 28. I'm your host Drew, and as always I'm joined with my co-host Mrs. M, and today is a special episode of the podcast, isn't it, Mrs. M?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because we have a guest.
We have a guest. We do have a guest. Our guest is none other than newly sworn in MSP Collette Stevenson. How are you doing, Collette? Welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm doing fine, and thanks very much for inviting me on.
You're very welcome. We're delighted to have you on. You are the first politician we've ever had on the show.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure at all then.
we thought we'd go with a winning start. Someone's just come off the back of Scottish elections. So like I say, you are newly sworn in to the Parliament. It's your first time being an MSP. I keep going to say MP. It's terrible, isn't it? So I suppose it's been a whirlwind for you the past kind of week. It's been months of campaigning, which under normal circumstances would have been a little bit different with the restrictions and
I'm just going to come right in with a question. How was that? Like campaigning through COVID? Was it different? Obviously it was going to be.
Yeah, it was. It was really bizarre because I've been involved in a lot of campaigns, from the referendum to getting Lisa Cameron elected and Linda Fabiani again, getting her re-elected. And it's always buzzing, most campaigns, especially what they call, the short campaign, where you're out pounding the streets, chatting doors. You're getting a real flavour of what folk are thinking. You can really gauge the mood. And also I ran my own campaign when I stood to be a councillor as well. So it was really flat. A lot of the stuff we were having to do on Facebook as well, which was particularly, for me anyway, I didn't have a big presence on social media. I find Twitter a bit of an echo chamber, to be honest with you. So I tended to stick with, targeting my audience from Facebook, because that's where I know most folk, from East Kilbride go on to. So it was pretty flat and it was really hard to gauge the mood.
Yeah, I was going to say, because sometimes like social media can make something look bigger and more popular, or necessarily a bigger issue than it actually is. It's not a true representation of what life would actually be. So, if you're out campaigning and you see people daily, like you can genuinely tell when you're talking to someone if they've got similar beliefs and what they're kind of thinking. You can't get that through a small screen, sadly.
I know, and like when the restrictions did start to ease down a wee bit, we did get guidance from SNP headquarters to say you can do it, but you really need to gauge the sensitivity amongst people, given the fact that they've been socially distanced for so long. But interestingly enough, we did start chatting doors like the Saturday, I think it was like 2 Saturdays before the actual election, and out of the 14 doors that I chapped, 10 of them were really positive.
Oh, so that's good.
Okay.
It was
job done.
Yeah, a very small sample of people, but equally it was really encouraging to hear that at the doors.
Just see on you don't have to delve in too deep. So see when it's not a positive reaction, is it kind of like, because in many ways, I suppose it's great having a positive reaction, but essentially your job's done. If you want to win more votes, do you come across many neutrals, people that are willing to sit and listen and hear you out? And do you know what I mean? Like,
a lot of people do have questions that's maybe relevant to them, and they'll ask, or else it's, a flat, not interested, don't want to talk to you, and you get that. So for me, it's just about, being dignified and respecting the way that some people feel about chatting in the door. And that's absolutely fine. We live in a, democratic country where you're absolutely fine to have that opinion, and you just smile and say that's fine. And there shouldn't be any nastiness. And I think that's one of the key things that we've seen a lot on Twitter as well. So it's trying to,
you say, the echo chamber, absolutely.
Yeah, it's actually trying to change that and make it much better, and more attractive for young people coming forward as well in politics, that they're not having to deal with such, nastiness, really. So at the end of the day, it's your politics. It's not you personally,
Yeah, I suppose that's where a lot of folk kind of go wrong. But no, absolutely. No, that's kind of interesting. I suppose if it's a flat no, at least then, like, it's not that you'd be wasting your time, but there's no point in spending a lot trying to convince someone something else when they're so set on something else.
Yeah, you could go next door,
you can respect that, can't you? Yeah, like
you could go next door and maybe talk to someone who is willing to listen then. So you're as well just kind of cutting your losses and going, right, that's fine, I'll move on.
I know myself, but I've the doorstep I've had down the years from politicians, they've chapped the door. Unfortunately, it's always been somebody I've been in favour of, and I've always just been like, thumbs up, thanks for coming, don't waste your time, get on you go, like, because it's a lot of doors, it's a lot of doors to hit.
I know, and I mean there is tactical stuff you've heard of in the past, but I haven't really seen it, to be honest with you, whereby they'll say a Labour, or a Tory will keep you talking to avoid you from actually going to other doors.
Oh, right,
okay.
So there you go. It's one to watch out for, but that's a bit of an old trick. But the one thing I will say about my campaign, obviously with the social distancing, was I do have a dog.
We're dog people. Yes, thumbs up.
So having taken her out walks and actually getting to know people, locally round about here who are also dog owners, has been a good campaign ploy.
Just get a little collar, a little jacket on the dog, advertising.
We might have just bridged the gap in politics here. Like no one will say no to a dog, regardless of your party political affiliations. You're going to go out and pet that dog if the person likes you, aren't you? Conversation started, it's too late,
That's it. You've cracked it. That's it. You've got to just keep walking that dog.
So, I mean, essentially, one of the big reasons we wanted to get you in the show was we've got a good listenership around the UK and abroad, but in particular, we do have a good number of followers in East Kilbride, and you are the new MSP for East Kilbride. I mean,
have you got any goals or anything set?
Yeah, So I appreciate it's been Linda Fabiani's been in for the past 2 terms. She's done an awful lot of good work for East Kilbride. So of course I can imagine you'll be carrying on a bit of her legacy, but also you want to put your own stamp on things. So it's just to see kind of what your goals might be.
So I mean, the ultimate goal for me, obviously, is part of being the SNP is independence. But as the party have emphasised on numerous occasions, our key priority is recovery out of this pandemic, and that is absolutely essential. So my role as MSP here in East Kilbride is to ensure that, the least amount of impact in terms of economic recovery. So looking at ways in which people can actually spend their pound locally by, spending with local businesses and small, to medium-sized businesses, and trying to promote them as well. It's like wealth retained. It's almost like
money made here's money spent here.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's about trying to look at how we can promote more local businesses, and it's quite good in a way because I, as a role as councillor, worked with procurement within the council. So trying to promote local businesses and get them on the procurement framework and things like that as well. And that's key because the council is actually one of the biggest procurers of services and businesses within South Lanarkshire and particularly in East Kilbride. And I suppose as part of that green recovery, and Linda was heavily involved in this, was the electrification of the railway line from East Kilbride. So that's going to be a fantastic thing because it's going to reduce travelling time. There's going to be more parking as well. And also in line with the new house builds in Jackson, which is probably the biggest community growth area in the whole of South Lanarkshire as well. All right. So all of that, there has to be a good balance of infrastructure. So we need to start seeing more job recovery is probably key for me. And I think what we need to do is look at short term, long term, and short, medium and long term. And in long term, I have got aspirations to see how our rail line could be extended into Hamilton.
That
There
would be,
was
That
an
would be
old-
really good.
fantastic. Like,
Yeah,
that would be absolutely wonderful.
yeah, because there is an old line from years ago that runs along the village. And I think it would be fantastic because you've got the University of West of Scotland, you know, that sits just, you know, at the Hamilton Business Park. But also, it actually is the gateway into the whole of Lanarkshire, and we could be the complete jewel in the crown.
Yeah, it seems
Something-
silly when you think
Isn't-
about it. Like East Kilbride is that, and Straven, there's huge bits of Lanarkshire, but yeah, they're just sort of on the edge, aren't they? When you think about it,
Yeah, they're kind of like out the way. Like we've got a train line that leads directly into Glasgow, but not one that kind of connects us to the rest of
the bit
South
we're connected
Lanarkshire.
to,
Yeah,
like the
it's-
council area we're actually
Although
following.
it's funny you bring up the old train line. I was walking by this a few weeks ago, and I was with your mum, and I was like, we were walking, we were going, a train doesn't come through here. We don't understand why there's, but that'll obviously be what it was, the old train line, because we were puzzled. Like,
Yeah.
So that's fine. You've cleared that up for me. Thank you.
I mean, what would need to happen for that to? I mean, would that be council driven, obviously championed by yourself, but would it need to be? Would that be a sort of local council issue, or would that
Well-
make it as far as Scottish Parliament?
Well, you know how there is talk within our manifesto on nationalising the rail line
Yes.
forward. So it's something that would have to be in discussions. We'd need to look at the infrastructure and how it works for, you know, obviously minimise any risk to our green, you know, our green space as well. But also it would reduce travelling time and reduce people using cars and whatnot as well. If they were able to travel in and out in Hamilton
Absolutely.
and Motherwell and
The amount
whatnot
of
as
people
well.
that we know personally who we visit in Hamilton, and we know people who live in Hamilton who work in East Kilbride, and it's just, you see the cars leaving to go to Hamilton, the cars coming back. I think you should do like a house swap or
it would
something.
really cut down on the traffic as well on that expressway, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? It would just
I would
work
love,
wonders.
yeah, I would love
Well, I mean,
nothing
the
more.
fact that, yeah,
Sorry,
sorry, no, and just, you know, so again, we're hosting, you know, COP26. You know, climate change is key to what we do, and, you know, decarbonisation as well. So it would make complete sense. So I really don't know how it'll go forward. There's obviously as well, there's funding from the UK government as well. So it is doable, you know, and we've been pleasantly persistent about it. We might do something there.
Get your dog out for a walk. Get that.
Yeah.
Get it written on its coat.
Yeah,
Bring back the train line. I'd be well up for that, honestly. I would use it for leisure, but you mean, you think that there must be, I'd love to know that. We should totally do like a big opinion poll kind of thing,
Yeah,
you know, just see how
opinion
many
poll.
people would actually benefit from that work-wise as well.
Yeah,
Because you can get straight into town as well. Can you go to Hamilton and then from there get straight into town, can you?
I think so.
Sure you can.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can get it. Yeah,
Anyway, getting off track
I know,
there.
getting off
So
track.
sorry.
that was like a really bad train
Sorry, I'm
joke.
full of dad jokes. So I can apologise. So I mean that sounds great to us. So recovery, of course, and then looking at more kind of local wise, building on that, sort of potentially pushing that train line. No, that'd be really good. And I suppose getting, the retail sector back is going to be a gigantic part of the recovery, because East Kilbride, everywhere you look, there's restaurants and pubs and shops, which is great, but not when they're closed.
Yeah. The town centre is key, and like that, there is a master plan in place from South Lanarkshire Council to actually do up part of the town centre. It's only at planning stages just now, but it would be key to try and attract more retail. We'd need to work in partnership as well, and get the buy-in, you know, from Scottish Government. So I'm keen to see how we can actually maximise and market East Kilbride as somewhere to come, you know, for a shopping experience, and ensuring that we're buying in. And it might very well be looking at the way we could actually change the whole town centre. So could it be a designer outlet? Could it maybe be
Free parking.
Yeah, free parking. Yeah. Well, this is it, because we often speak about it in it's like, so you look at places like Silverburn and Braehead, these places are free parking, and it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say that was the gimmick of the free park. It's like, oh, I go there because it's free. It's more that the size and the vastness of these places, and they're purpose built. You know, the town centre's central to East Kilbride, whereas these places, they're just kind of, that's what they've got there, if you know what I mean. Like, you travel there purely for that, whereas you come to East Kilbride for multiple things. So it's a bit like, it's almost a surprise sometimes. We've met people from Falkirk, haven't we, who came to East Kilbride, and they come down and shop for Christmas, and they went to East Kilbride. It's like, I can't believe you've got to pay to park there. And it surprised them. And it's funny because we're not talking, it's like, was it £1 for like 3 hours or something?
Aye,
If that, or it's free for the first 3 hours.
It's not much.
So it's not a lot at all. But it's funny how, like, you know, they can spend hundreds of pounds, which you're grateful for. But
people
the
are
gripe
like,
is,
I'm not spending the 50 pence. I was only there for an hour.
I know, it's a put off. It really is a put off. And you know, I think, if they designed the car parks a wee bit better as well, albeit there is plenty of parking spaces, but a lot of folk are put off by it. And then if you think, most people who are car owners can go, well, I'd rather drive down to Silverburn where I've got a bigger variety of shops to go to and I don't need to pay parking.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you know, and then, and like you say, circling back to spending the money where it's earned or keeping the money in East Kilbride, I mean, that's just pushing it right out the door.
We could see more unique, smaller shops coming in as well.
Well, yeah, like there's lots and lots of little independent places down like in the village and stuff like that. There's maybe
that might be the way to do it. Like, just have like a market section of the town centre. It doesn't have to be like pure old school market, but like dressed that way, like it's a wee sort of old school. And not stepping on the toes of the village. The village will always have its place no matter what, but it's something almost mimicking, like an extension of the village, I feel like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you walk down like old USA, when you go to like Disney World or something? No, a bit like that. Just like we need a straight up candy shop that's like celebrates loads of like, don't know, like candies. We've got so many good sweets here.
Yes.
We need an Iron Brew shop.
That's a great idea.
We need to bring back Iron Brew bars, actually, is what we need to do.
Yeah.
That sounds great, actually, an Iron Brew shop.
Yeah.
/ Lee's snowballs kind of thing, like confectionery. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we have got so many good products. It's like that your whole unique selling point. And what is our unique selling point in East Kilbride? What you go
to Edinburgh and there's tartan and cashmere shops everywhere. We should have a tartan shop here, without a doubt.
And one big thing for me, I'm always really, really passionate about is food. I'm a foodie when it comes to going out for something to eat, and even just cooking. I love
after your own heart.
So when you start to actually delve in to South Lanarkshire and East Kilbride as well, in terms of the produce that we actually have, I think we're actually one of the biggest.
It was a farming town, wasn't it, originally? I suppose East Kilbride.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we start to look at our food, and and how we can actually market our food, and having local produce and having local markets as well, and trying to reduce plastics and whatnot as well. There's a market there for that, so there's a real big multitude of them.
I mean, we sort of pat ourselves in the back, don't we, when we go to like Aldi and all that, and you're looking out for the local produce, and you're like, yes, and you walk out the shop just like a wee bit taller going, I've done my bit, like it's, haven't you?
My apples have a Scotland flag on them.
Could you imagine it going a step further? Like, you go down the town centre and then there's a kiosk and it's all fresh fruit and it's locally sourced.
Yeah, I am so up for that. Like we're like when you watch something like EastEnders and they've got the market outside, like we should totally have something like that in East Kilbride. Like see up where Sainsbury's is and there's a whole load of dead space. Should just make a big indoor market. There's so much space for it.
That'd be quite good, actually. Yeah,
we need to get a dog. Campaign for this.
Right, definitely. I know. No, but it is that we have to maybe look at just the whole way we go about. I mean, you've got huge, big, like companies like Sainsbury's, Morrison's, and whatnot as well, and you can get your food delivered to the door and all that as well. But maybe we, within our own culture, need to start looking at things. I get that people everything's got to be more efficient and more smarter and buying online. But for me as well, I think it's quite therapeutic to go out and actually shop
Yeah,
rather
see what
than
you're
doing things.
buying, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I mean,
So,
we speak of that with like, well, our parents and all that, and they're saying like they sort of like, it was like the beginning of the supermarket, I suppose, wasn't it? And they would say like you would go down on the weekends and you would go to the butchers and get your meat, and then you would go to the grocers and get your fruit and veg, and there was none of this it was multiple trips. And you could argue, yes, a supermarket can get everything in one place, but it takes away the human element to a degree, because you get to know your butcher, you get to know your grocer in over the years, kind of thing, stuff like that. It's just missing out. I love going into the butchers and just getting a full selection of stuff, and you're chatting away. You go for the experience. It's like a haircut. Not that I get them, mind you.
But interestingly enough, there's a new butcher's opened up in Calderwood Square, and it looks fantastic. I've heard that they're really, really good. So there's me promoting one of the businesses already.
There we go.
Right, we'll go
go.
there for this. Go there for this weekend's breakfast is sorted.
Well, that's it. I mean, but it is, like you say, like all these places down the years, it's been trying to replicate other places. Oh, we need to have that shop, we've got to have that shop because they've got that shop. Whereas it's like, well, do you know what? Let's just play our strengths. They don't have that. We have that. Let's do that. Promote local businesses. That's the kind of the backbone of it. I mean, we both work for local businesses.
Yeah.
I know many people. Yeah, I'm self-employed. Well, you work for.
I work for
just local companies,
a cleaning
like
business,
very small local companies.
So
that in itself, we know people as well who run local businesses. So it can only be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think
should have a day like an East Bride local business day, shouldn't we? Like
a business breakfast or something like that, where we can attract lots of. I think they've done something like that before with South Lanarkshire College. But in my role as Deputy Provost as well, which was an absolute honour and privilege to do, it was a great role, a fantastic role, and I suppose it raised my profile considerably as well within East Kilbride. But the key thing for me was I actually got to go out and visit a lot of businesses locally, especially if they were like opening up or if it was maybe their anniversary. So that was great. And it was great to promote them and go and visit them and follow them on Twitter and just see just how they were doing as well. And there's some fantastic work getting done even up in Langlands, which is actually classed as Clydesdale. But
really?
Langlands and Langlands Mosses actually comes under the remit of Clydesdale. But there's some fantastic work getting done there when new companies are opening up. And they're very much about green recovery and hydrogen and about solar panels and how we go forward with houses, house builds and in terms of our green heating systems as well. So it's one to watch out for. It's really, really good. So lots of good stuff happening there.
I do like that thing, because I mean a local business will grow better and quicker when, like, the whole idea of a meet and greet, when you meet, there could be loads of small companies out there, they don't know how to take the next step, might be hesitant to take the next step. But when they meet someone who's doing something similar to what they're doing, not necessarily the same service, but there'll be skills and stuff that can be shared that will just allow them to grow and expand. And who knows where that could go, really? Think about expanding ourselves quite a lot sometimes, but I don't know.
In fact, I was chair of Business Gateway Lanarkshire. So I was quite heavily involved in the whole business and economic sector. So if you're ever needing any help, and it's not just about startup companies, it's about growth as well. And and I think they're basing themselves. They've just moved offices. There's a new provider, and they're basing themselves in the Nell.
Right. Okay. So that's good.
That's
just down the road.
So that's handy to have, especially for local businesses who are looking to try and grow and expand as well and tap into those, skills and training and whatnot that they've got there. So absolutely. And I'm not trying to promote Business Gateway. It's a great tool to have, it's a great tool to have, particularly for, small to medium-sized businesses in East Kilbride.
So you've got a lot of experience of all the things that you've done. How was your first day then of your new role? Yeah,
we've seen it. Yeah, we've seen you've been sworn in. So tell us.
I've not actually been sworn in.
All right, okay.
Sorry, so I don't get sworn in until Thursday.
Right.
So that's when you're unofficially an MSP, but per se, in terms of taking casework and everything on as well. But my first day was quite bizarre because I travelled the previous night because I didn't want to get stressed out about the traffic getting into Edinburgh because it can be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
So it was quite relaxed, and there was a whole load of journalists, and when we arrived at Scottish Parliament, they just were kind of ambushing a lot of the other MSPs, newly elected MSPs, and myself and one of my other colleagues managed to kind of bypass them and just walk right into the building, so we kind of missed them. Which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it should be on your terms anyway.
Yeah.
So it was all very lovely. The staff that are employed by Scottish Parliament are so nice. They were just bending over backwards to try and help us. So it was more of an induction day. We got our security pass. We got a tour of the building, which is a fabulous, amazing building. I would invite anybody from East Kilbride if they ever wanted to come. I could arrange it.
We've popped through a few times. That's good.
It's always
we always seem to pop through. It's
Yeah.
always a weekend we end up there, isn't it? For some
Yeah.
reason. And we keep meaning going, we should really return when it's open to get a good look at the place.
Yeah, because we've our daughter as well. She's
a bit her goals to be First Minister, isn't it?
yeah, she wants to be First
Really?
Minister.
I'll let
Starting young.
She wants to be First Minister, yeah. And we always say, because it's always a weekend and it's always shut whenever we go, because it'd be nice to take her, like just to kind of show her around and all that. But that's good to know. We'll be in touch.
It's funny the power of that, because she's like, I would like to be First Minister one day. I was like, well, the First Minister likes to read lots of books. She's like, okay. And off she went, and this started the bookathon where she read like a book every 3 weeks or something. It was crazy.
Really? That's amazing.
And I don't know where she gets it from, because I was not that way as a child at all. I'm now, but not at that age. Absolutely not.
But no, she really wants to be First Minister of Scotland. So
Right, okay, well, I'll see. What to do then is book yourselves in on a Thursday when it's MFUs, and I'll maybe see if I can try and get Nicola to have a chat with her or something afterwards.
that would be amazing.
I can't promise you because she's got
Of course, absolutely.
Of course.
Thursday's probably if you've got more chance of meeting her then than what you do any other time, and you get to go into the public gallery and actually watch FMQs and the opposition asking her questions and whatnot as well. So
Well, you're any
he's
same
not
question
allowed
every
to.
week. Oh, is it not?
No, now that they're only down to 4,
Oh.
for MSPs, they're not deemed to be a party
Oh, wow.
Oh,
or a group per se. So he's no longer allowed to ask her a question at FMQs.
Oh, it's always the same question anyway.
Poor Willie.
good guys, no here to defend yourself.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So that was my first day, and it was amazing and really, really nice. The building's absolutely gorgeous, and we got our new IT equipment and everything like that. So I think it's going to be pretty full on. I'm actually travelling back tonight to Edinburgh, and I'll be there until Friday. So, and the swearing in ceremony's on Thursday, which I think I'm round about 12:15, if my memory serves me right. Just because my name in the alphabet, S.
That's it. Sitting there with the TV on.
Go for it. You can see it, I think, on Scottish Parliament TV. So, but yeah, it's fantastic, and it's lovely to meet all the other newly elected MSPs. And I got to meet the girl who from the Green Party as well, Gillian Mackay, who got elected on the regional list for Central Scotland.
Oh, good.
So I'm keen to work with Gillian and see what we can do going forward for East Kilbride.
No, that'd be brilliant. I like the Greens. I like Patrick Harvey and all that. I like their whole kind of get up, I'm not supposed to be picking, but I do.
We're neutral.
Well, because they're pro-Indy, I'm kind of biased, so
yeah, of course. So I think did we ask that question? So we've covered an awful lot of it. Questions
just
through
through
questions, if you know what I mean.
So
no,
So it's trying not to ask you the same. Suppose, what was it initially then that that drove you to politics? Obviously you spoke a good bit there about your journey and some of the stuff that you've done along the way, positions you've held. But what would you say initially? So you woke up one day, I'm sure you always had a hankering for politics, but what was it you thought, I need to get directly involved in this?
She's a 10-year-old girl, she went, I want to be First Minister.
Absolutely. I'm sick of reading these books. My dad's lying to me.
I suppose for me, like, when I think back on it, like when I was at high school, I attended schools in East Kilbride all my life. I've lived here all my life. But I remember my history teacher at school saying that I was known as the young communist. So maybe I should say that, but so I was always, putting the world to rights then, I think. But I think later on, around about 2010, I got involved. I was actually doing my accountancy degree at night while working, and I think getting to know the whole taxation system, which was,
Crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
I'm self-employed, you have to tell me.
and it was like, why does it have to be like that? It could be so much fairer in terms of, wealth and, spreading the wealth as well, and the poverty gap as well. It was just incredible. And even just the whole thing to do with tax evasion and tax avoidance and all that, there's a thin line there. So for me, I suppose it was about that, and working and I think I then get involved as being a union rep. So I was a Unite union rep. So I kind of always was one of the ones that kind of, right, pitchforks at the ready, guys, right, come on.
Where's the dog? Get the leash.
Exactly. So I think for me, it was always there. It was just, finding it. So by 2013, the question came up about independence, and I wanted to know more about it. So that whole, probably because I come from an accountancy background, it was like, right, I want to know more about the economics. I always thought Scotland should be independent, but I really wanted to know, more detail about it and how it would look. And the more I got to know, it was like an epiphany for me, really. And I decided to get in touch and go to a few different events about the Yes campaign. So basically that's what I did. And I met Christina McKelvey at an event down at Strathclyde Park, and chatting away, and she says, I can put you in touch with Yes East Kilbride and Linda Fabiani. And so I think really the rest's quite history. I got involved, campaigned heavily then. The day that, it was announced that, Scotland voted no, I joined the SNP. I'd never been part of a political party before. So I joined the SNP, and I've been involved with the branch. I've got involved with, doing afternoon teas, getting women more involved. Just the big thing for me as well was equal pay. I was absolutely abhorred about the equal pay situation throughout. So, I wanted to make everything, make sure going forward that women, especially my daughter who is 17, is not impacted, by that whole gender inequality gap as well. So I think I was really passionate about that. And then I think it was, somebody said to me, why don't you put yourself forward for local government? Local government elections were coming up. And I thought, yeah, I may as well throw my hat in the ring.
That's it. Why not? Jumping off point.
Nothing gained.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, I must admit, the SNP, I'm obviously biased, but the people that I've met, the friends that I've got to know throughout my time and my journey with them have just been fantastic, and tapping into that knowledge and wisdom of Linda as well, and some of the other, older members. It's just been amazing. It really has. And here I am. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, well, this is it, So I sworn on the Thursday, and then that'll be it. That's the firing gun for 5 years, isn't it?
Yes.
5 years to get busy, get to work, I suppose. That phone will be ringing.
I know.
It'll be us trying to get a meeting with First Minister.
By all means, yeah, definitely. More than happy to organise it for you.
I mean, just even touching on what you're saying there about the gender gender pay gap equality, like, you know, see from a male's point of view, that was something that kind of like it shocked me, but it was more it shocked me that I didn't know anything about it. And why would I? You know, because it's weighted in my favour, if you like. And I think that's crazy. And it's something I've become more aware of. Obviously, I have a daughter, so you're always sort of looking at from. I feel as if now I see the world the way it is, whereas before I seen it from a kind of skewed point of view, because she's quite into taekwondo and all that. She's what you call a traditional tomboy, isn't she?
Yeah, she's.
And,
is she?
Yeah, like it's like makeup, nails, and it's a Avengers, Star Wars. Thank you. Yeah. Sorted. You always say if I have another daughter, you're like, can I have this one?
Yeah.
but it's like, of course, like why couldn't they? Because everything is just on the rise. Like when I was at school, there wasn't any girls' football teams or anything like that. There was nothing like that.
Can't remember if there was.
It was like ballet and netball, like push and all that.
Yeah,
whereas now it's just
she's got no interest in that because we did say like, oh, do you want to go dancing? Or no, I want to fight people. Like, okay.
Yeah, she's got that little bit extra. We thought, taekwondo? He said, yeah, taekwondo. Yeah. And now
she definitely needs to become the first minister then. Fight and talk, definitely.
Well, she's terrified of dogs, but you know, like it's going to hold us back.
Oh, is she?
She's got a guinea pig, in fairness.
Yeah, she's got a guinea. I don't think we can take a guinea pig a walk.
No,
I think it'll have the same impact.
No, I absolutely will not. Absolutely.
Well, we had guinea pigs, to be fair, when my daughter was younger, and then we kind of, you know, eased her into dogs. So we only got our dog that was probably about a year and a half ago now. So they do come round eventually.
No, well, do you know, she's getting a brother or sister. She's not getting a dog. I've decided.
Okay.
We could have upgraded like the goldfish, although like God love it, it lasted 7 years. Bit the dust, and that resulted in the guinea pig. And next, the talk was we have to be on the ball with this because when that day comes, how high we're going to go here? Do you know? Like we're going to get a dog next, like then a horse. Like where do you stop? Kind of thing.
I know. Because we had a goldfish as well, and it was like 9 years it lasted.
Oh wow!
It's mad how long they last.
They start charging it rent.
I know, it was amazing. We were just like, and it used to get abandoned. I think it actually thrived on, you know, just being completely abandoned. And we're like, when was that last fed? Still living. I shouldn't say that.
Give the jar a wee poke. It's definitely in there.
I'm sure algae's good for it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it seems to thrive on neglect anyway, so that's for sure.
So we've got a couple of wee questions from people, listeners of the show that have been in touch, kind of thing. Some of them, I suppose, can be covered through the financial side of things. I suppose isn't everything economy based, I suppose. But so the first one at the gate was 0 contracts. That's obviously a big one. It's huge. What is being done or can be done? Like I was speaking to this person about it and thinking, I know that would seem like a nationwide issue, not just Scotland, but the whole of the UK. But it's like, could that be something that could be almost piloted? I know it sounds silly, piloting, giving people correct hours and start times, but could that be something that could maybe be practiced kind of locally and then successful, widened out to the rest of Lanarkshire and so on, so on?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about 0 hour contracts or the, you know, casual contracts, whatever you want to call it. And I'm putting my trade union hat on here because I don't like them. Whilst it suits some people to be on a 0 hour contract because they may be for whatever reason to do with their benefits, they can only work, you know, 16 hours max per week. However, saying that for young people, it doesn't inspire or enthuse young people, and it opens it up to them being abused, you know, in terms of their employment rights. And I've seen it time and time again. And I suppose for me, and I'm kind of swaying away from it a wee bit, because what I would say is the key I'd love to be able to see as part of the education curriculum in some shape or form about young people being taught about employment rights.
Oh, absolutely. That
would be a really good one, actually.
During my apprenticeship, I ran into quite a few problems to the point I had to join Unite the Union. and they helped me out a lot. But it's like, I shouldn't have had to, you know, like some things companies think they can get away with, and not think, but do actually get away with until they're
because
met.
people aren't clued up enough to know.
Yeah, that's a good
what
shout.
shouldn't be happening. So that is a really good idea.
That's it.
Yeah.
Employment rights, how to do your taxes, and how mortgages work should be in 6th year or 4th year at school, shouldn't it? Like that should be a thing.
I mean that is key, because I know even from my daughter doing like advanced business studies at school that she was like, Mum, I should have known about this ages ago, and some of this stuff, and even just what your rights are in terms of, you know, employment. But going back to the whole 0-hour contracts, the one thing that we have said in our manifesto is about universal basic income, so that everybody is entitled to a basic income which covers them. You know, I know that we've got universal credit. It doesn't work. It's dreadful, especially when you look at
it just serves to sort of marginalise people, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. It does. It's not fair. The whole process and the way in which it's done is so unfair. And this universal basic income, I know it was piloted over in Canada, and I don't think they used it further, but we maybe need to learn lessons what happened there, but pilot it again over here. I don't know how we do that, but it's a level up, you know, it's leveling up. It's allowing people, you know, to have that. And it's about people who are in work as well, not just people who are out of work.
Well, that's it. When you say the words universal credit, people just think, oh, benefits, I'm not going to work every day so someone can sit in the house. And you hear that kind of comment or rhetoric and you go, that's not what this is. Like, it's not, that's a tiny, tiny margin of that. And that's what's been about the marginalising. But the vast majority of people wouldn't use universal credit or universal income unless they had it, unless they needed it. Yeah. You know, it's not like, you know.
Crazy. It's about, you know, it's been about being equitable and fairness and the whole dignity there as well. I mean, the key thing is everybody should have a roof over their head. They should be able to have clothing. They should be able to feed themselves, you know, and have heating in their house. And so many, you know, often people that we work, you know, in work poverty, should I say, are still having to deal with fuel poverty and going to food banks as well, because, you know, the 0-hour contracts are, you know, so yeah, it's something that I would like to see. I don't know how it's going to be in terms of the pilot, but I'll be keeping a very close eye on that. That's something I would like to know more about and how it's going to roll out.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. I'm just thinking, this is scheduled for is this going to cut out or will it just run?
No,
will it just run? Cool. Excellent. No, because I'm just looking at it going, is this how little time we have left? Oh no. So we won't keep you all night anyway. You've got plans, but
go to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's fine.
I mean, essentially we've got kind of like 2 more questions, I think, and then it's the dreaded, we have a topical pursuit quiz. It wouldn't be a podcast episode without a quiz. So I think what would be the next one? So again, this was from a regular listener. So will you be looking at increasing mental health support services that have been reduced over the years in East Kilbride due to cuts to cope with the rise in poor mental health in response to the pandemic and restrictions it placed on one-to-one contact? So to give some background here, this person used to work at Athol House and was a support worker. In all of that's just been slowly kind of eroded down the years.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's all been disbanded now.
Yeah, and this person believed it was needed then, whereas now, I mean, mental health it's almost immeasurable right now, isn't it? It's everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So it's just to see if there's going to be any.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I know the key thing for me about the pandemic and mental health, and it is, you know, a very, very, you know, it's very topical, but at the same time, we need to be talking about mental health and the impact that and of course, I mean, one of the key things that the SNP are really, you know, adamant they're going to push forward is that no young person, you know, should bear the brunt of the pandemic, given that they've missed out. And not so much, I don't like the word missed out, because there was an element of schooling there, but it's about the social aspect to
Yeah, it's
that.
the day-to-day, the going in and
Yeah.
the throwing your lunch in the bin and not listening in class.
We are looking at ways in which we can invest more money into mental health, and that's through our NHS as well, and working in partnership with, you know, our health and social care. So that's something that we're absolutely determined that we're going to look into, and how we can actually do that further. And one of the things I think for me personally was, before I even became a counsellor, I worked for a charity who delivered outdoor education. So I worked with a lot of minority groups, a lot of groups that had, you know, problems with substance misuse, a lot of to do with even carers, young carers as well, and even in kids, you know, autistic people with, you know, like autism and whatnot as well. And outdoor education was just amazing for mental health, to get out there. And you've seen for yourself, you know, over and over again, the amount of people that have been outdoors, you know, because we've not been able to meet, you know, inside, and the actual benefits of being outdoors, and the flora and fauna, and just going for a walk and just seeing what's round about you. And I think even the passion that's been brought about with the litter picking as well with Annie.
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah.
So we've reached out to the East Kilbride litter pickers, and so what a job they're doing.
Oh, I know.
You drive round, I'm not saying silly, but you're turning corners and you're seeing the red bag full, and you're smiling, going, yes, absolutely, yes, well done.
We've seen some go by the window a couple of weeks ago, and he's shouting, "The litter pickers! It's the litter pickers!"
And, you know, you see these people on the internet or Facebook, and you don't know them, so you kind of want to open the door and just, well done, everybody, like start clapping. You know?
Yeah, but you know what? I've been saying for so long, because we did a few litter picks round about the Westwood Square, that you know, folk go, oh, the rubbish, the council, blah blah blah. When in actual fact, I always go back and say, well, do you know what? It wasn't the council that dropped the rubbish in the first place.
Yeah.
So why should they be the ones to pick it up?
Exactly.
We are not far from that area, and we went up just the other week. But
there's 5 bins.
We noticed the rubbish on the floor, but we looked around and go, there's 5 bins very strategically placed around, like, and they were all empty. All the bins were empty, you know. Like, I know there was wind, but I don't think that came out of there. So, like you say, it's who's dropping it. It seems to be in the rise, litter dropping. You walk by people and they just drop it. And I seen somebody drop something the other day, and it really annoyed me. And I felt like going up to them. I had a prior engagement, I couldn't, but I felt like going up to them and saying, "Here, pack that up." But I didn't want to come across as the crazy person in the street, because it's like, then they'll say, "You pick up." And then I can't exactly say no, because it's like, I'll have to pick up, you know?
There's a Lemmy sketch that's similar to that. I don't know if you've ever watched Lemmy, but there's a sketch that he does, and it's about, oh, you pick that up.
No, you pick it up.
If you go onto YouTube and type in Lemmy, I think dropping rubbish or something in the park, it's quite funny. And he starts to get quite obnoxious about it. But going back to the mental health thing, I think for me, I'd like to see outdoor education being more part of the curriculum, being part of, you know, not just a case of going away for a week to the outdoors in primary 7 as part of your transition into high school. It's about developing it more and being part of the curriculum all the time, every week. I mean, we've got some fantastic venues throughout the whole of Scotland, and I have been privileged to be able to go and do certain things like kayaking and mountain biking and a variety of different things, and I've seen firsthand the benefits that outdoor ed has on your mental health. And there's so much empirical research being carried out on why it's good for you. So I know it's not for everyone, but the key is actually,
it should be a choice to participate rather than just, you know, it not being served up to in the first place. Definitely.
As our wee one, she missed out in her primary 7 trip. They were supposed to go to Lockerbie, and she actually missed out because of the pandemic. So I'm just like, just as you're saying that, I'm thinking maybe we should just book. And I such
Not
a
now,
shame.
yeah, you'd
I
have to
couldn't
wait
go
till
on a
September.
kayak right now. I can't go on a kayak in with my affliction.
You say
So
that
you
like
could
you
take-
would have. Last time we went to Tree Zone, you were not pregnant. I had to do everything. I wasn't upset about that, but you know, I couldn't hide when I was screaming up the top of a tree going, "It's my wife that's screaming!"
Oh my goodness.
So-
Well, Mrs. when are you due?
September.
Oh, lovely.
So,
Lovely.
but no, it's just I think that would be quite good. Like, I know she missed out, but there's nothing so we should still take her and try and do all these
I
things.
mean, we do, but it got quite easy there during the pandemic to go, oh well, that's that kind of thing.
We
But
can't travel.
yeah, but now it's time to really start ramping it up, looking
Yeah.
at it again to be done.
Yeah, and I think, for me as well, there was some great initiatives going on within Outdoor Ed, and it was to do with like even tying into literacy and all that as well at a young age. So it's about a really young age, really, getting involved and getting the parents involved as well. So there was a great wee initiative where it was bushcraft beer, where the parents and the kids went out and they brought their own cuddly toy, and it was about den building and whatnot and bushcraft and
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
and they got there was a book about bushcraft beer and all his friends, and they went into the forest and they got their breakfast at Chatlerrow Park, and then after that they got a token to go and get a free book at the library, which then sort of prompted them to have a wee incentive to use the library, and it also demonstrated to the parents that it doesn't have to be expensive to go out and do something with the kids.
No, it doesn't have to be the Burger King, then the cinemas, then ice skating. It doesn't have to be this blowing like a day's wage. Some people a week's wage on bought entertainment that gets repetitive at the end of the day, doesn't
sometimes
it?
just a walk somewhere and picking up sticks is enough for them, and that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
That sounds like something I would do with this one once it's old enough.
Good luck. I know that all the best. So as you've still got a wee bit to go, right? Enough, but
A
it'll
wee bit.
fly in.
Oh, I
That's
know.
a 20-week
I know.
scan tomorrow. That should be
so-
fun.
Oh, lovely.
We can't decide if we should find out because we never did with the last one, didn't we? Not?
No,
I don't think you should.
I don't
That's
think we're gonna
excitement.
find
Save it. Save the excitement. I don't know.
you surprised. If this one's a girl, it's going to dancing. It's getting the
It's gonna be a
nails.
girly girl.
Yeah, it's going to
A
be a
girly
girl.
girl.
Good for you.
What was the kind of last sort of serious question we had, I suppose? So I suppose this is an interesting one because obviously we all have aspirations and hopes for our own children. Obviously we're not exempt with that. So it was so university places, East Scotland. It's obviously included in your subscription if you like. So I guess the question is so university qualifying places in the process for getting in if you're a foreign student or indeed a sort of rest of the UK, like is there like a process that's isn't stopping, I suppose, like, I mean places that like how does it work if what's the question? What am I thinking of here? Like, no, just try to word it so it doesn't have two
You
questions.
think it maybe that this has been raised with me before? Maybe Andrew, sorry to interrupt you, and it's that do you think that
It's been home
foreign
to abuse. Like some people would like perhaps live in another part of the United Kingdom, and then when it comes time for their children to go to university, they would then move here and take advantage of the free having not lived and paid it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I don't know.
I don't know how you'd police that, mind you.
Yeah, no, and I get what you're saying here, right? And I don't know the figures on it to say, yeah, it has been abused or who has had free, university tuition. It's something I'd maybe need to look at and decipher. And
Because it's not just like, sorry to interrupt there, but it's not more like my child or someone I know would miss out. It's more, I look at these students in England who wouldn't it be great if their parents were wealthy enough to move to a country that had free education? Do you know what I mean? Like they're having get landed with loads of debt because they can't have the benefit of just moving,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the weighing up is on it. So it's something I can honestly say, hand in my heart, I'd need to look at the figures, and the demographics in terms of who's actually getting it. But I have heard, and it has been raised before, that certain people, within Scotland aren't getting, to pick and choose, their universities because the places have already been allocated to maybe, as you say, foreign students and, students in the rest of the UK. But I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't know the answer to it, and I would need to start looking and delving into the figures, which I'd happily do, just to see where we are. Because I mean, key for me is education, and for our young people. And as you know, I mean, it was the SNB that actually brought in that policy for free tuition fees, and we want to maintain it and extend it as much as we possibly can. And it's like positive destinations as well for young people. So like, so for instance, my daughter, to contextualize that, is she doesn't want to go to university, and there wasn't a great opportunity for younger people in terms of modern apprenticeships and college places as well. We're starting to do more of that as well, and it's a bit more accessibility, so more accessible courses as well, so a wider range of things to do going forward. So hopefully that's something that we will invest heavily in going forward, and I know that it's part of our manifesto pledge to do that, and it's key to ensuring that we're constantly reducing that attainment gap.
Excellent. No, that's as good as answer I suppose we can get. Absolutely. I was going to say, just before we moved on, I suppose, the dreaded quiz is beckoning. But what sort of, is there any overlap between yourself's work and perhaps Dr. Lisa Cameron as an MP? Like, do you have much overlap, or is it just one of those things, separate parliaments, separate?
Okay, so it's sometimes folk get confused as to why we've got an MP and an MSP. Basically what it is, Lisa Cameron deals with reserved issues, like Treasury. I would use that as an example. So like your tax system and whatnot, the Treasury system, stuff to do like deportation and whatnot. Certain areas are reserved to the UK government, whereas we are a devolved government, so we do, like, for instance, NHS, certain travel as well, education, something as well that we, so again, that's the difference. So something, maybe if you've got somebody abroad and they've had problems, in terms of the embassy or whatever, they would contact Lisa. I couldn't do anything about it. I don't have the mandate to actually have anything to do with it. But if they got in touch with me to do with an issue to do with NHS and maybe getting access to like cancer treatment or something like that as well, then that's something I'd be able to, help them with or move it forward. So, and then you've got council issues as well. So folk forget that a lot of your councillors can help you with local issues as well. So it can be quite complicated, but I hope that clears up any.
Yeah. I mean, I knew the difference, but like, there's many people, isn't it? Like, there's just, people always say it as well. They go, I don't understand like how the SNP are in charge. I thought the Tories were in charge. You go, no, that's Westminster. Okay, and are they not there? No, the SNP are there as well, but they're not in charge. You think, just pick up a newspaper, something, like, but maybe that's something that needs to be taught better as well, like.
Well, maybe that needs to be explained a wee bit better, because I mean, for folk, I mean, you are in a bubble sometimes when it comes to politics, and you just think sometimes that everybody knows what you know, but
you think how heavily invested you might be, and you think everyone is of the same ilk, but it's not the case.
It'll be quite good that if people have listened to this.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought the question. It seemed worthy. I know it seemed like an obvious answer, but
yeah, they've had an explanation now. If they didn't understand it before. No.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, even if you just like Google devolved, issues or devolved government in Scotland and reserved matters, you'll be able to see a breakdown of what Westminster deal with and your MPs compared to, so MSPs are you're a member of the Scottish Parliament, and that's the difference. So we would like to have all the powers.
Yes.
We're an independent country, but I'll not even go there just now.
We'd another hour for that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think what we do then is we'll end on a very light note with our quiz, because we've always got to do a quiz on this. And like,
Brilliant.
it's just pop culture questions. There'll be no judgment here if you don't know the answers.
Right.
Do you want to ask the questions?
Right. So it's 5 questions. If you don't know them, you can pass, or you can just say you don't know. And
There's no time limit. There's no prizes.
Yeah, there's no prizes. So it's
Okay.
just your pride on the line.
The score to beat is 1.
Yeah, score to beat's 1. So this gives me a week off because usually we do a quiz with each other and he always wins. So
Not necessarily. The scores is it 10-9 to me, I think.
yeah. So he
Is it?
Yeah. So here we go. You ready for your first question?
Question
Yeah,
1.
go for it.
Right, question 1. What came first, the can opener or the can?
The can.
Yes, you're right. Sorry,
Yes, it
he's
was.
written down a very explained answer for these questions, so I'm having to read through it to actually get the answer. Yes, that's correct. Well done.
It's
First one
50
right.
years of a difference.
Really?
In time. 50 years people waited. Don't know what they've done with cans. Just bashed them with rocks.
Probably.
Probably.
Right, question 2.
So you've already got 1. This is
Yeah,
a
you've
great
got
start.
one right. You're off to a good start. True or false? Can you sneeze in your sleep?
No.
Fantastic.
2 for 2.
Yes,
Well
2 for
done.
2, yeah.
Number 3. Most successful book series of the 20th century.
Harry Potter.
Yes, indeed.
Well done. Sorry, I'm supposed to ask this probably. I'm just literally reading them out as he's written them. And they're
I'm dyslexic, so I miss some key pigeon words sometimes.
Oh no, I've lost them. Right, hold on. Right, okay. So question 4. So you've got 3 out of 3 so far. You're doing very well.
Maybe we should have better questions. We did have ones, but we thought they were a bit hard. So we thought-
Yeah.
You should have gone for it. Challenge me.
So what is the name of the coffee shop in Friends, the TV series?
That's easy.
I've forgotten.
Oh, we're gonna get. Is this we're gonna find out you're one of these few people who've never seen Friends?
I know I have. That's the thing. That's a terrible thing. But
can't-
Would you like to come back to it?
oh gosh, that's terrible. I've forgotten it. Right. I know it's on the tip of my tongue, but I've forgotten it. Sorry. Go, yeah, you can
Right.
just pass. I'll just
Yep.
pass.
We'll pass that one. We'll come back to it. Okay, question 5. What is the most sold flavour of Walker's crisps?
So essentially the most popular. Yeah.
It's just what
Most sold.
flavour has been sold the most.
Cheese and onion.
Yes.
Well done. Right. So you've got 1 question to come back to. What is the coffee shop in Friends called?
Dun, dun.
Oh, I knew that.
There's no time limit. If you want to go to Edinburgh, you have to be quick.
Oh, not at all. Listen, I'll pass. I honestly, Pat, I've totally forgotten it.
That's
It's called Central Perk.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
here. 485 is not
But
bad.
4 out of
That's a
5.
new
Well
record.
done.
Thank
That's
you.
We should,
better
get,
than
we should get a board like
Yeah.
Tom you have and just relax it. Collette Stevenson.
You're at the top. Well done.
Thank you.
No, that's it. So I mean, I suppose that is it. I mean, we could sit and talk to you all night, but you've got stuff
Oh,
to do,
it's,
and
it's
so do
lovely.
we.
It's been really nice talking to the both of you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks very much for coming on and
Yeah,
telling us
our
all
first,
about yourself.
yeah, our
and
first politician. Exciting.
Yeah.
Hopefully get more. Just work our way up, kind of thing.
Get
See what
Nicola
Nicola's
next.
doing the Thursday, right? See if she's got a wee half hour.
Absolutely. Aim for the sky. Absolutely.
Definitely. So yes, so I mean, thanks so much for coming. Best of luck on Thursday, and for the next 5 years. Hopefully you achieve your goals and what you're wanting to do. So do we. Look forward to that train line.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Oh,
That'd
that'd be
brilliant.
fantastic.
that'd be really good. Yeah.
Even if it could just get started to the point it was like thumbs up, it's going to happen. That'd be absolutely magic. And then obviously getting everything back together after the pandemic. That's everyone's key focus.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
we'll just go from there. I think that's it. We need to go get a dog
Absolutely.
now. You know? a dog and one of those litter picker sticks. We need
Yeah,
to go
we
and
need
get
to
one of
get
them.
Concentrating the baby coming first.
Yeah, I
That's,
think so. I think so.
and
then
good luck.
kayaking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, and definitely get in touch about if you're wanting to come through with your daughter.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
That's,
definitely.
that's definitely.
That's definitely going to happen. Yeah, because she would love that.
Yeah. We'll let you get we'll let you get your feet under the table first, and then we'll be in touch.
Yeah, no, I've got a couple of weeks. It's going to be heavy going, so it is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh,
And just
fantastic.
embrace it, and yeah, and key for me is, I suppose, about it's for the people of East Kilbride, it's for the town of East Kilbride.
Well, that's it. 52%, 21,000 people. That's an endorsement, if nothing else.
Yeah, that was great. That was a
Yeah.
great result.
We're sitting there watching it come in, going, yes.
I know, it was just it was really weird. The whole count thing was just quite flat compared to what there's usually a big buzz.
Yeah,
It
kind of
took
the
so
excitement out of
long
it,
as
didn't
well
it?
because you couldn't count through the night. It went on like all weekends. It was
Yeah, I was sick of
crazy.
checking it. You kept refreshing it and nothing was happening. You think it was worse than the presidential, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In America, you think
But
nothing's happening here.
yeah, my sister was going messaging me, when's it coming on? When's it coming on? And I'm like, when's East Kilbride coming on? I'm like, I don't know.
Because I kept saying that as well. I was like in and out of the living room. I kept saying, have you done East Kilbride yet? He's like, no, not yet. He's like, I'll let you know, don't worry.
see when I take it you were in the count.
Yeah.
See how long would you say you knew like you were going to be the new MSP to when sort of the rest of us found out? Is it quite a while? Did they tell you way ahead of time?
No. So we do a sampling. So I had a good indication from the sampling early on. So the count basically kicked off at 9 o'clock, and usually your sampling boxes that you've been at the polling stations. So for instance, one of the schools, I was sampling the box and went for the constituency vote. And so you have a breakdown, like you do a 5-bar gate type thing, and you go one for SNP, you're sampling the guy when he's opening up, and they've emptied the ballot box out, unsealed it, emptied it out, and you're seeing the actual ballot paper, and it's like there's a cross for Labour, there's a cross for the Tories, a cross for Lib Dem, a cross for SNP, and obviously, because my name was last, I was down the very bottom. So with all the samplers that we had as part of my campaign team had all sampled similar figures. So it was like, for instance, I had like 141. The Tories had maybe like 70, Lib Dems had 3, and Labour had like 78.
Right.
And when you compared it with other people, you could see that that's the kind of the way it was going. So that I kind of knew, but you still can never count your chickens back. And you're just like, no, I'm not until. So the chief exec of the council, who's like the returning officer, takes you aside with your election agent and said, I'm just going to announce the figures here, and then we're going to take you up and do the proper declaration. And that's how it works. And that's when I found out. So
It's
I
like,
was
That's
brilliant. Can't think, wow, 21,000 people voted for me. That's amazing.
yeah, like
well, yeah, I mean, that's total achievement, isn't it? That's brilliant.
Yeah.
What a feeling.
I just need to make sure I work hard for everybody and for that.
That's it. You're not going to be able to please all 21,000 people, but I mean, if you can just get the bulk of that, and it would just, even like you say, like I suppose that's a message in many ways to people who necessarily haven't voted for you either. It doesn't mean like because you're still their MSP, so you might not have been their first choice, but you're here to serve the people of East Kilbride as much as you are an SNP MSP. You are also an MSP for East Kilbride, sort of first hand, So I think that's the way people need to think about it.
I'm here to help people. I'm not here to hinder them, and that's key to why I got involved in the first place. So
excellent. Well, on that note, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks a million for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'd absolutely have you on again. It's the easiest interview ever,
It's been a really good chat.
Thank
and
you.
I've already said it, but best of luck for the future. I'm sure you do great things, and we're all looking forward to seeing it.
Okay, thanks a million. Listen, look after yourselves. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
cheers.